Hi and welcome back to the That's Business channel, where you learn the most in the least amount of time. Before we begin, remember to like and subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell to never miss a video. So let's face it, all of us struggle with making decisions sometimes. These decisions can be small, like choosing what to make for dinner, or something major, like choosing the right education. Regardless of how crucial a decision is, effective decision-making abilities are without a doubt useful to have, especially if you have a habit of regretting your decisions after making them. So in today's video, we'll let you in on 8 tips and tricks so you can learn to make excellent decisions and minimize the risk of regretting them afterwards. Tip number 1. Don't stress too much. This feels obvious, right? But y'all are too hard on yourselves, for real. When faced with a difficult decision, it's natural to feel nervous and frustrated, but this can make you hurry your decisions without giving them enough thought. Or you may avoid making any decision at all since the stress has knocked you off your game. But how do I stop stressing, you might ask? Our best tip for this is to take the tension off yourself. Try and take a step back and pretend as if the decision will not affect you at all. You can even think of it as if it's your friend or family member who is to make the decision. What would you recommend them to do and why? This way, you regulate the tension and it doesn't affect your judgment in the same way. If you have a hard time trying to put yourself in someone else's shoes, then try and calm yourself down by going for a walk or do some hot yoga or whatever to get your mind off it for a while. Even just giving yourself more time on the decision by having a good night's sleep to think about it could help a lot. The goal is to not be clinging with the decision and give yourself some breathing room, because it's difficult to think properly under pressure and your first thought isn't necessarily the right one. Another way to think is, if it doesn't matter in 5 years, then don't spend more than 5 minutes worrying about it. This doesn't mean your current life decisions are unimportant unless they matter in 5 years. It just means stop being so hard on yourself and stop stressing. Saying this to yourself will help diffuse the tension, and you can decide with a less stressed and clearer mind. Tip number 2. What impact would your decision have on the future? This goes hand in hand with the last point of the previous tip. A good way to make better decisions is to try and look at the future. Not like a superhero, but more to plan for yourself and your life. Vision yourself in the future. For example, 1 year from now and 5 years from now. Write down or even make vision boards on what you want from your life and what you want to achieve. Everything from having a good cup of coffee every morning to becoming a millionaire. Put it in words and pictures so you can clearly see your vision. This way, every time you are about to make a decision, you can always refer to your vision board and think, is this decision something that's going to get me closer to my dreams and goals in life? It's critical not to get too caught up in the immediate outcomes of your actions. The immediate consequences won't necessarily tell you if you made a bad decision or not. While if you look at the bigger picture and how the choice you are about to make would affect your future, you could easier make a better decision in the now. For example, if you know you want to be a leader at work, writing it down can help you figure out which path will bring you there in a year. So, when the new job offer comes with higher pay but fewer possibilities to develop your leadership, you know you're better off remaining at your current job. Tip number 3. Weigh the pros and cons. This is a straightforward one, and it's what most people would tell you before making a tough decision. But when faced with a major choice, it's easy to lose sight of the larger picture, just like we've said a few times already. But the point with this tip is to tell you to make a physical list, and not just in your head. Make a list of the advantages and disadvantages of each course of action and then compare them. This will give you a very clear picture on the consequences of each choice, and the decision can go from difficult to very clear really fast. Sometimes the drawbacks aren't as awful as we think they are, or the benefits might not be as luring anymore. Tip number 4. Consider your goals and values. This is an important one, that's for sure, because this is what makes us who we are. After all, what are we if we're not true to ourselves and our values in life? While you consider what's essential to you when making a decision, the best alternatives may not seem obvious. In any case, you're more likely to end up with something you actually feel satisfied with. So take some time to sit down and write out your goals, as well as a personal vision statement that matches them. These objectives should be both personal and professional in nature. This might sound similar to the vision board we spoke about earlier, but this one is more focused on what kind of a person you want to be when it comes to how you treat others, how they view you, and what values you have. Are the choices you're making aligned with the person you want to be? Is it going against your beliefs, or is it a choice you would be proud of making? You could even think, if I met me, would I like me based on this choice? This could make it easier for you to take a step back and think more clearly. Tip number 5. Think of all the options you can. Making a decision can result in so many different results, not all of which are obvious when you first think about it. So, when you're analysing each choice, don't simply list the pros and cons, also write down any potential implications. Unless you must select between only 2 options, spend some time brainstorming at least 3 other alternatives. Even if you assume there are only 2 options, try to look outside the box to see if there are any additional options. The more alternative realities you are aware of, the more informed your decision will be. And hey, if you think there isn't any choice and you're torn about something, remember the wise words of Stephen King. There's always a choice. If you don't do this, you may overlook another path that might have brought you closer to your goal. You may still feel your first choice is still the right one, but now you know this with even more certainty after having compared it to many other options. Tip number 6. Talk about the decision with someone else. Now, this is super important. Sometimes we get so far into our head we don't realise we've gotten ourselves stuck in quite a spiral. That train is bound to go to nowhere town, so you need to call in reinforcements. In this situation, it might be beneficial to get another person's point of view on your problem, especially if they've had to make a similar decision in their own lives. They may also approach the decision in a different way and mention things you didn't even think about. Sometimes 2 heads are better than 1, and there's another way to approach this too. When you decide on a course of action, consider how you're going to be telling other people. If you feel like they're going to respond negatively, it's worth wondering why. Tip number 7. Start keeping a journal. If you feel like you're on an emotional roller coaster, like you can't stop stressing and thinking, almost to the point where your head hurts, write it down. Study your own life by talking to yourself. Write down your thoughts and take a closer look at them, and you will get a better understanding of yourself. This way, you can identify what you don't know and take the measures necessary to learn more about either yourself, the path you want to take in life, or the people around you in order to make more informed decisions. Knowledge is power, even when it comes to yourself. Also, make it a practice to notice when you're jumping to conclusions and to analyse why you're feeling a certain way or making specific judgments. If you're feeling overwhelmed by negative emotions after a difficult decision, it's so vital that you take a moment to analyse why you are feeling this way and compare it with imaging how you would feel if you would have done things differently. You won't learn from your mistakes if you don't reflect on them. Those who don't learn from the past are doomed to repeat it. That's why you should make it a habit to have some me time and figure out how you're feeling about the decisions you make. Tip number 8. Recognise your mental heuristics. Okay, before you freak out about what mumbo-jumbo we're going on about, just hear us out. Mental heuristics are the mental shortcuts we use on a daily basis to make quick decisions. For instance, when you see a person with their hood up in a dark alley and you decide to walk past a bit faster, your brain has probably used a heuristic to evaluate the situation. You don't go into a full thought process. Instead, you make that decision in a jiffy. This built-in mechanism in your brain can be really helpful and make decisions fast and easy, but they can also majorly backfire. you can end up getting your judgment clouded and you won't be able to make the best decision possible. Fast and easy don't always mean right and good. Heuristics are often based on stereotypes, such as the person in the dark alley with the hood up is scary. Other stereotypes when making decisions can be, I haven't done it before, so it's difficult, scary, not for me. This is expensive, so it's really good or really bad. No one I know has done this, so I shouldn't either. Or, my mum would be proud, so it's a good idea. I'm not saying heuristics are always wrong, but I am saying they are definitely not always right. Heuristics being your autopilot initial thought means they will always be there, but always reacting according to your heuristics may not always be a good idea. So once you make yourself aware of what heuristics you use, you can take a step back and look at the impact they're having on your decision making and learn to think twice about them. This will also allow you to test whether your heuristics are helping you in making better judgments or not. We have now reached the end of the video. We hope you learned something new. We know we did. Let us know in the comments what you would like to see next. This was How to Make Better Decisions on the That's Business channel. Thank you for watching and take care.